everybody who tuned in last week. I had the wonderful Dr. Olumide Emmanuel on the show. Isn't that guy just, I don't know, wisdom in motion? It's just unreal. But it was such an honor to have him on the show and all the wonderful tips that he shared with us. And I'm going to be speaking alongside him on Saturday at the School of Money, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. Not right now, but later in the show I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So once again, if you're just joining us, this is Bebe Clement and you are tuned into the Bebe Means Business Show. I am an entrepreneur, and alongside my husband I run a group of small companies. I'm also the author of 2 books, How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur, and this is my latest book, Wealth Creation God's Way. I want to thank everybody who has bought the book, particularly Pastor who just ordered 30 copies for his congregation. He said he read the book, he loved it, he had to get it for his congregation. He just ordered 30 copies. I want to say thank you so much for doing that. And I know it's going to be a blessing to your people. Okay, so if you missed out last week's show, please go check it out on YouTube. You know my YouTube address, Bebe Clement. If you go there, Bebe Means Business Show is there, or Star Radio UK, it's there as well. So make sure you have a look at that. There's a lot to learn from that. I also wanted to share this. I had a phone call earlier in the week, and the vice president of a very reputable company called me and said, Bebe, you know what? I used one of your radio shows, the radio show that you did on business ethics. I used it to train my sales team. And I thought that was very, very interesting. So just to say thank you for that, and thank you for letting me know. But for all our listeners and viewers, that the information that you get here is so dope, it's so valuable, that you do yourself a disservice by not tuning in. So tell others as well. Don't be selfish with the information. Tell others as well all about it. I also want to thank all the women who came along to the Bebe Clement's annual Women in Business Networking Breakfast that I held on Saturday. Thank you to all the women who came. I mean, the feedback has been amazing. It's been all over social media. Thank you to everyone who came along. It was such an honor to serve you that way, and I look forward to doing that again next year. Right, today, as you know, we're in International Women's Month. And so I thought this month, as much as possible, we want to celebrate female entrepreneurs who are kicking ass in the marketplace. So I thought we'd speak to those who are doing well, and it gives me the utmost pleasure and honor to welcome to the show 3 amazing women: Lisa Newton, Sandra Rams Nicole, and Bimbala Osagi. Hi, ladies. Hi. Welcome to the show. Okay, so I can see that Sandra is muted, so if she'd like to unmute her microphone, that'd be good. So we know that everybody's with us.
Yes.
Okay, we'll try that again. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Okay, Lisa, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Joining us all the way from the West Indies, so hi. Everybody's joining us from somewhere slightly more local, so hi to you as well. Okay, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us today. We've got lots and lots that we want to pick your brains about today. Okay, so first of all, can you introduce yourself? Lisa, starting with you. Okay, starting with you. Who are you and what do you do in the marketplace?
Okay, my name's Lisa Newton. I run a bookkeeping service. I run other businesses too, primarily as a bookkeeping service, began in 2004. I have never had a full-time 9-to-5 job in my life, and I've always been a fan of being able to work remotely, and so over the years that's what I've worked towards, so that I can run the business from anywhere. As long as I've got an internet connection, it all is good. So I'm keen on, passive income, multiple streams, and being a digital nomad, basically. So being able to run an accountancy service from anywhere. So that's what I do.
Okay, thank you. Can we go to Sandra? What do you do?
Okay, I run a mock test, 11 plus mock test company, and what we do is we host mock tests around the UK for children attempting to get into grammar schools. So literally that's what I do full time. amongst other things, but yes.
Okay, and Bimbola?
Hi, I'm a property entrepreneur. So I do all things property. I train, I mentor people, I source property good deals for investors. I invest in property for a good return. I'm also the founder of an investment club, and I've helped a number of women, especially as we're talking Women's Month, at least about 13 women to get on the property ladder as an investor.
Wow, well done you. Okay, well done. All right, so ladies, let's just jump straight in there. Now, last week when I was speaking to Dr. Emmanuel, we were talking about that everybody has a money story. And that, what I mean by that is that everybody has a particular way in which they relate to money. For some, it dictates whether they actually ever have any, and when they do have it, what do they do with it, whether they hoard it, whether they spend it recklessly. And the roots of your money story usually comes from your childhood. And I shared about how in our family, my mother was the entrepreneur. She used to import lace and gold, but she died very suddenly at a young age, unexpectedly. And my father didn't have that kind of entrepreneurial instinct. So we went from being a very comfortable upper middle class family, plunged into poverty. There was no middle ground. It was poverty in a very, very short period of time. And how that kind of shaped my money story. So I kind of developed a we must manage, we must just get by, we must scrape. Anything is better than nothing kind of mentality, which really in effect is a poverty mentality. That's really what I developed. And how I had to battle against that in my adulthood. And in some regards, even now, I catch myself unawares, and I have to, do something to make sure that I overcome that. And I remember some years ago, my husband used to make fun of me. I never used to go near a shop except it had a massive sales sign on the front of it. Really, it was just as a result of my poverty mentality. What's your money story, Lisa? Let's start with you. How do you think your childhood has influenced the way you see money?
Well, back in the day, being kids and you want to wear the latest trainers and the latest this and the latest that, my parents wouldn't buy it for me. So I, from then, just said, you know what, if I want something, I'm going to save, I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to do it for myself. So I think that has shaped my thought process in how I will find money out of where, they say money doesn't grow on trees, but, it's all around you. So I became very resourceful, is basically what I'm saying. So when I was at school, I used to sell bobbles, scrunchies, hair scrunchies, 25p, because my mum was a seamstress. So I took little bits of her fabric and her elastic, so I didn't have any costs. And I would make these bubbles, and I'd go to school and sell them, because I went to an all-girls school. Sold other things on the side as well. And there was actually, I don't know if they still do it, a thing called Take Your Daughters to Work week. And so she took me to work one week. It was in April. I remember it was around Easter. And she used to work in a factory whereby they would make lingerie. And it was for big name brands. And what would happen is, say a name brand would want, let's say, 1,000 bra and knicker sets or bodysuits. They wouldn't just make 1,000, they might make 1,010. So there'll be what's called cast-offs, like the first bits and the last bits that they didn't need. And they would sell it to us, the machinists, for like 25p. It was very cheap. And then I'd take that to school and sell it for £3.50. So you can see it's a nice markup right there straight away. And going to an all-girls school, the girls would buy it off me, the teachers would buy it off me, and I'd always have like a bag on me, and at least what you got now. And even now today, people laugh at me, be like, they call me like a half a daily. They expect me to open my jacket and be like, I got spoons on this side, I got this on that side. So I was always like that. And I would say that the first lesson though that I learned was that when my mum left that factory, I then didn't have a supply of things to buy for 25p and to sell. So that was one of the first lessons I learned in business. Like, you need something to sell, and you've got to buy it cheap, or for nothing at all preferably, and then to be able to make a profit. So that was always my thing. So being resourceful, like, okay, what is there out there? What can I sell? What is free? What can I get for cheap and sell on? So I've always liked that model.
Wow. So even at a young age, those entrepreneurial seeds were already sown. Interesting.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is, when I made my first £60, I bought some Fila trainers, and then and £60 back then is a lot of money now, back then even more. Yeah. But then when I made my next bit of money, I didn't actually want to buy trainers after that. I started to buy jewellery. So I still to this day have a lot of gold jewellery. So that was my thing. So it's funny that when you start to make a bit of money for yourself and you saving up your pocket money and stuff like that, even like, I would be given dinner money, but instead of spending the dinner money, I'd make sandwiches and take them to school and then save my dinner money. So I was always like, you know, doing stuff like that. But when you start to do that, then the things that you think you want, I found anyway, I didn't necessarily want them. In my mind, it's like, yeah, I could get those trainers, but you know what? I'd rather get a new gold chain or some gold earrings or another ring or something like that. So I started to do that. And saving has always been my thing. I've always been very good at saving. It's never been an issue for me, never been difficult. And I think one of the things that me and my brother always had, like my mum and dad would get us, like, you know, those packets of 6 crisps or Kit Kats, and then what you'd have is one a day. So I'm very good at saying, right, okay, I've got a packet of 6, today's Sunday, I will have one a day, and then Saturday they'll buy some more. So I've got one a day. My brother, on the other hand, might have eaten 3 or 4 Kit Kats or whatever he's got, and then like by Wednesday or Thursday he's looking at my stuff and like, no, that's mine. So I was just always good at budgeting, whether it's the food they give you or the money or whatever, on a daily basis. So
okay, cool. Okay, Bimbola, do you want to tell us your money story?
Yeah, I'm just laughing at Lisa. That's really good. Mine is so I grew up. My parents separated when I was quite young, but before they separated, I remember I would go to my dad to ask him for stuff, and he rarely bought the stuff at the time when you ask him. There's always a waiting period, there's always a negotiating period. We grew older. In fact, as we grew older, it became a point where he would give you some of it, and then you have to come up with some of it. And I think it was his way of teaching us that we have to work for what we want. So I think when it comes to making money, that has kind of stopped with me, because I just never felt like I felt like I had to always work for my money. And on my mom's side of things, so at some point the marriage ended and my mom became a single parent, and I remember my mom hearing my mom speaking to her sisters, and they would talk about things like, oh, a woman needs to have her own money, because if you have your own money, no man will ever take advantage of you. So again, there was also that bit around, okay, as a woman you have to work for yourself, you cannot depend on a man is not a financial plan, you've got to get in there and do what you need to do. So growing up, it's literally been like that. When I think about the way that I deal with money and make money, I love to make money. It's just always been a case of where I have to work for this money. I have to work for provision. I have to work, and so I'm very independent when it comes to finances. It's good when I can get money from my husband and other people, but I'm very much like, I need to get it for myself. And I don't necessarily think that's always a good thing, I have to say. I think it's getting a balance, but that's kind of my money mindset. The other thing I remembered as well, which kind of ties into where and what I'm doing now, is I remember growing up when my parents' marriage broke down, my mom had to leave the place where we stayed, and it kind of felt like she was forced. She didn't have a choice. She didn't get an opportunity to go to a place where she wanted, had the time to search. And so it was almost like rushed out of the place that we had called home. And I saw that play out when I was young. And as soon as I came to the UK, same thing, where I was living with my relatives, and at some point we had a little misunderstanding, and the next thing, you got to leave. So I kind of subconsciously said to myself that I will never be sent out or driven out of a property. I must own my own property, and here am I now, a property entrepreneur. So I think that's how you grow up, subconsciously or unconsciously, kind of determines which way you go.
Yeah,
I'm actively looking to give my kids a better financial background.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Cool. Sandra, you want to go?
Yes. For me, it was. I had both ends of a stick, because my father was a serial entrepreneur, and my mother, she was a housewife, but she sort of managed my father's finances. My father was extremely generous. He would literally give out anything he had, simply. And my mum was quite thrifty, so she was the opposite end. So I got to learn. So the first thing I sort of really learned from my father was taking risks. He would open as many businesses as possible. He would do from farming to supermarkets to engineering to contracting. He did so many things. So I saw him sort of delve into different aspects of business, and I think that sort of helped me not be scared to go into things. I've sort of tried different businesses, and some work out, some don't. And at the same time, I picked up from my mum the whole thing of not spending all you've got and just being a bit cautious, saving, and just always, my mum would be the one that would sort of look and say, we haven't got enough, or we've got to make it last a little longer, and so on. So it was just interesting getting one really generous parent and one that was a lot more cautious and trying to find a middle ground. And that's what I try to do best with the various businesses I've embarked on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the things I find interesting is just the role that our parents have played in the way we see money. And I kind of, even as you were speaking, I was thinking, I really have to be self-aware of that and continue ensuring that I'm exposing my kids to how to make money, to being entrepreneurial and stuff like that. I know a lot of business people don't do that with their kids, but I'm of the view that the more exposure, the better. The more exposure, the better. I mean, like, I take my kids when they're around. I take them to, if I'm going to go and speak somewhere, I take them, let them come along, let them man the stand, let them, all those kind of things. I think it's really, really important, especially when Lisa was speaking about how she's got a factory with her mom. Who would have known at that time that it would help forge and form your entrepreneurial pursuit? So I think that's really quite important. Thank you very much, ladies. Okay, now, what problems have you encountered in the marketplace being a woman, or have you not? Has it been a disadvantage, or has it been an advantage? Has it been an advantage? Bimbola?
Okay, so in my industry, there aren't as many women, so I'm already in the minority, and being black has made me even double minority. But in terms of any challenges, so I think the first thing is just being in the minority itself could be a challenge. Because then you're having, people don't necessarily take you seriously. I remember the first time my builder said to me, in fact, they still say that to me, they say to me, I was like, oh, I'm so proud of what you do. It's so good that you do this. And I'm like, and then I know, my builders are Asian. So I know that what they're saying really is saying that because you're a woman and you're doing this, thumbs up. But then I'm thinking, this is a job. Like, I'm just surviving like every other guy on the street. So I think that's one of the, just being in the minority in itself could be a challenge, because sometimes you're not taken as seriously as if it was somebody else. But I also feel like it's also helped me as well, is an advantage for me, because especially when it comes to how I relate with different people. So I've had instances where I would have a relationship with a contractor, for example, or have a relationship with a client, and the way that I navigate those relationships, the way that I interact with them, I can see that I can see that I'm doing a lot better, or I've seen that I do a whole lot better than my male counterpart, because the male ego comes in, and then everything gets out of the beam. Whereas I'm able to nurture the relationship, I'm able to to communicate effectively as a woman. So I think that's really good. And then also in terms of what I do, so one of the things that I do on that property is I am a landlord, and I'm a landlord of HMO. So that's house in multiple occupations. That's a house with several people, and sometimes they will come to me with their issues, and I'm like, oh my God, I am not your mother. I'm able to help diffuse the situation. I'm able to bring solution because I'm a woman in that space. So I think for me it's a positive. It's been I would say it's more of a positive than a negative, because I'm able to then use and maximize my skill set as a woman to ensure. And then of course when you talk about even how to manage the actual finance, how to manage the accounts, even things like, so I work with my late husband now. I work with him in the property space, and even things as little as doing an account, like He will be there, letters from HMRC, reminders every day, organize and get things done. And I think it's because I'm a woman. Well, certainly I think it's because I'm a woman. So it's maybe a lot more organized. My organizational skills, my communication skills has helped being a woman in my space. So I think for me it's been more positive than negative. Of course, the negative or the challenging time, it could be very annoying as well, especially as a Black woman. I mean, I've had instances where I've been called the cleaner. I've had instances where I've been called the caretaker of properties, not just one property, a quick example. So I have this unit that I was working on. I did that for several months, and then we bought another unit exactly next to it, and we're doing that for several months. So anyone in that community would have seen me there several times. They would have seen me talking to contractors, doing stuff. Clearly, I'm the boss. And then when they refer to me when I'm not there, they're referring to me as a caretaker. And I'm like, really? Caretaker? Because I'm coming out of my big car? Caretaker? They just can't fathom the idea of a Black woman owning and being in charge of this thing. So yeah, when it comes to that, I get really annoyed.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Sandra?
I've not really had any challenges really being a female business owner. It's just been a natural thing, organizational skills. Not really had any challenges at all, because I guess maybe the industry name, most people who sort of do in education, mainly most teachers are female. Other businesses, no, not really had any challenges at all. But I do obviously concur with what Bebe has just said about that expectation of you not owning the business. That's probably been my biggest challenge, because I walk into my business premises, the company hosts mock exams, so we have a hall, we hire the hall, we have lots of parents from different backgrounds, they bring their children in to do an exam, and somebody sees me and they walk past me. I might employ someone. I employ people of all different ethnicities, different colours, and will probably lean towards the Caucasian who's there and ask them a question and walk past me, and they sometimes would have to come back to me to ask that same question. But I must say that, so that's usually been the case. And I remember one remark where a lady said, a member of staff said to a customer, that she owns the business, and the customer said, "Oh my goodness, I thought it was a big, huge company." And I thought, what makes it not a huge company? Because it's suddenly owned by, it is a huge company. Well, I mean, she sort of said, I thought it was a large company, but what suddenly changes the trajectory from being a small company to a large company? What you see, but apart from that, it's been absolutely fantastic. Had no problems, and I just get on to what I do.
You know what? I really think though that listening to what you're saying, what you ladies are saying, we've got to change the story. I think one of the reasons why other ethnicities sometimes see us like that, because a lot of the cases, it's not just the fact that you're a woman, it's also the fact that you're a Black woman. A lot of the reasons why they see us like that is because they don't see a lot of us in these kind of positions. They don't see a lot of us. So one of the reasons why I do this show is to encourage other women to get up and start occupying the marketplace, because the more it becomes commonplace to see us, it's because we're a rarity. The more it becomes commonplace to see us, this will happen less and less. So if you're watching and you're dilly-dallying as to whether you should go into business, go into business. If you're ever looking for a reason, it's a good reason for you to go into business. All right, ladies, I'm going to take a quick break here. For those of you who don't know, this is a live show, so you can call in with a question. The ladies are ready to go. If you have any questions about entrepreneurship, how do they do it, and all that, please call us in. If you are listening to us through Twitter, our Twitter handle is @StarRadioUK, or you can text or WhatsApp us on 07539 661 I'll give you that number again. It's 07539 1744. Or of course you can email us at info@StarRadioUK. Or if you're joining us on Facebook, just put your questions in the chat, and as soon as we come back, we will respond to those questions. See you in a moment. Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business, but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned into the Bebe Means Business Show, and I'm your host, Bebe Clement. And today we are celebrating women entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, as part of the Women's International Month of March, as we do every year. So today on the show, I have the honor and the pleasure of having Lisa Newton, Sandra Rams-Nicole, and Bimbola Osage on the show, and they've just been sharing their money stories and some of the issues that they encounter in the marketplace. Okay, I want to give a shout out to Bossman. He's listening. Thank you very much for tuning in. He also has a radio show on Sundays, Faith Talk. So thank you very much for tuning in. He says he's enjoying the show. He's loving the discussion, ladies, he says. So let's give him a bit more. Okay, so I find that successful people have certain common traits. I've been watching, I read a lot of biographies of successful people. I interview them and stuff like that. I have found that they have certain common traits. And I'm a big believer that success leaves clues. So if you can share some of the things that, that are success traits, then I don't have to go and make my mistakes. I could just do what you do to get where you got to. So talk us through a typical day. What kind of, if you were going to have a typical entrepreneurial day, Lisa, what does it look like for you?
Yeah, there we go. I think, well, for the success leaving clues type thing, I think one of the really useful traits to have is to be a people person, and that's I think in any industry. So running a bookkeeping service, it's people based. So you've got your staff and then you've got your clients. And I think in any industry, if you're running a HMO like Bimbola there, having good people skills, dealing with your contractors and stuff is really, really useful. Good communication, and being able to negotiate and get things done and generate that goodwill. So say you've got a particularly busy time of year, self-assessment, tax return time, people will go that extra mile for you and not be like, oh, okay, it's 5 o'clock, time to clock out kind of thing. But for me, a typical day, and it doesn't really seem to be a typical day, but what I try and do is spend most of my time working on the business as opposed to in the business. So that could be creating courses. I've got over 100 courses online, so there's always something for me to be creating, writing another book or putting together something. Like those are the kind of things that I spend a lot of time. I try and spend most of my time doing. So yes, so I'll say that would be a typical day. Just trying to get things done.
Okay, so one of the things that you spoke about was being a people person. Being a people person. This is so important in business. It really is. I don't see how you can do well in business without really being a people person, to be honest. It's difficult. I mean, one of the problems that Steve Jobs had was the fact that he wasn't really a people person. That might have been because his neurodiversity. But it was one of the reasons why, it was one of the main reasons why they asked him to leave the first time he left. But yes, that is quite important if you're going to be successful in business. Sandra, can you talk us through a typical day?
A typical day for me, my day sort of varies partly because my business is seasonal. So some days I'm, sort of just lazing about, and which is great. That's one of the great things about owning a business. You do have your own time to do what you wish. But when I'm not resting or just relaxing, my typical day is really just to check my emails and think forward. I sort of try to forward plan and just think about what I can do going forward to give my customers the best experience. And also I keep up to date with a lot of tech, because I always want to be one step ahead. one step ahead. And that we were quite fortunate during the COVID because all the mock exams that were being taking place, they were all in person. So the children would go to a centre. And when COVID came, everybody had to do that online. We were fortunate because we'd started online tests. It was so easy to make the conversion to an online environment. So I would say one of the key skills is you've got to be really passionate about your business and forward plan. Think 2 steps ahead. I'm thinking now about AI. I'm thinking about automated testing. I'm thinking about ChatGPT. I'm thinking about how that's going to impact my business. I'm thinking way ahead so that I can prepare for the future, so that I don't end up, with a defunct business, so to speak. So passion, planning ahead, and just doing it, really.
Okay. Going back to Lisa for a minute, one of the things she said, something that we say quite a bit on this show, that she spends her time working on the business rather than in the business. Now, this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand, and that's why they go under. You've got to keep the main thing, and don't get bogged down in the day-to-day things that you can actually delegate if need be. Your job is, like she said, to be thinking about how to move the business forward. You are the brains behind it, and that's what you should spend most of your time doing, which is the same thing that Sandra is echoing. But also what Sandra was saying was being able to be forward thinking. What is next in the business? Don't get comfortable with where you are, because things are moving so quickly that you literally have to be running to stand still. So she mentioned a couple of things there: AI, ChatGPT. Some of us don't even know what that is. It would be a good idea for you to go and check it out and find what kind of impact those things are going to have on your business. Because I'm telling you, there are some businesses and some ways in which we're doing business now that in 18 months' time are going to be totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. So the sooner you start thinking ahead, the better for you and your business. Bimbala, for you, what's a typical day?
So I don't actually have a typical day, which could be very exciting in my business, and at the same time could be also quite annoying in my business. So my day would either consist of the following things. So it's usually of late I have new members of staff, so I start off with just delegating and just going through what's on the task list so that we know that we're moving forward. So that takes a bit of time, and then sometimes it might be to do a site visit to see what's going on the site, to see if my contractors are working to time and schedule. And sometimes it might be to deal with tenant queries. So there are queries that actually need my attention, or if it's something that I need to then delegate to somebody else, I could potentially do that. I do a lot of viewing. So the most exciting part, the one that I love the most, is when I go see new opportunities. So that's like my exciting day, because, just going out there, viewing properties, and then coming back to find a quiet place to then do the numbers. I'm always number crunching. Does it make sense? And then I spend a whole chunk of my time also putting together presentations to present to my investors, whether they're current investors or potential investors. And then sometimes it's doing the accounting. It's like a whole, so there's no typical day, so there are days where I plan to do ABC, and then I go out there and then it goes from ABC to C, D, E, F, G. And but I absolutely love every single opportunity, everything that I do. Of course, with the challenging ones, I think what Lisa said earlier about being able to have people skill is, for me, is the best thing I would say, because I deal with people all the time, whether they're current contractors or clients or investors. I'm dealing with human beings. I have to be able to have empathy. I have to be a person of integrity. I have to be persistent. I have to be determined. I have to also be, and one of the things that a friend of mine said to me, which she said, you better get good. No, she said to me one day, you're really good at getting money, at getting people's money. And I'm like, yes, I love it. And you do a lot of persuasion, a lot of knowledge, being the subject matter on whatever it is that you're selling to them. But I absolutely love. So I don't have a typical day, but my days would consist of any of those things. And in terms of leaving clues, I think the most important thing for me that helps me is just knowing that I can do it. So irrespective of what it is, knowing that I can do it. Like if somebody else can do it, Bimbola can do it. And Bimbola is not giving up until she does it. You know, it really helps. Just believing in yourself, because that's what, you know, when I speak to, you know, aspiring entrepreneurs, and I speak to people that are wanting to, or I hear people say, well, I love to do what you do. And the next question is, why don't you do it? It's just that belief system is so key. It's so important. We all have enough in us to get up and do. And you know, lastly, I would say another thing that really helps me is knowing that if I fail, it's fine. Failure is part of success. So I'm willing to take any risk, and I'm willing to lose money, because I know that I can make the money back. So, and most times I don't even lose money, but just having that knowledge, just having that mindset of, if it fails, I will learn from it, I will start all over again, and I'm still going to be able to do it. It's, you know, it really does help me to take those risks, and then I see a lot of success as a result of the risks that I've taken.
Wow, so loaded. You've actually gone ahead of me, because I was going to ask what role failure has played, but we'll come to that in a minute. I wanted to just ask, you're all involved in real estate or property, all of you. Can you tell us what part or what role does property play in building wealth? Wow. Lisa, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll start with that. My very first ever client was actually a Jewish guy who was a property millionaire, and I thank him to this day for being my first client, number one, believing in me, and helping, giving me the bookkeeping work, going there once a week and stuff. Back in the day, making £200 a day. Be happy to make that now, but back then was just like enough to just be able to work one day, and then I had 4 days to work on the business, build it, find staff, interview people, train them up, and that kind of stuff. So that really helped me. And one of the key thing I noticed about him, and doing bookkeeping, I work with a lot of different clients, lots of different industries, but I can honestly say the one thing that I got from just observing him compared to other clients is that he was just so relaxed. Like, he'd come into the office and there wasn't really a lot for him to do. I'd be like, go and play golf, go and do something, you don't have to be there. But it gave me the inspiration, because I thought, you know what, I want a life like that one day, where I can just go and sun myself somewhere and not have to worry, because all it was, basically, me, the bookkeeper, I'm just like, yeah, they're paid and that's it, and that's it. And it was like, it's passive income, do you know what I mean? It was just like one of those things. So it made me think, you know what, once I get a little change together, that's what I'll be doing, so that I can take my foot off the gas, because what you want is your money working for you, and not you there having to sell hours and your time for money. So essentially, that was like my inspiration. And I think I want to say it was like, is it Alan Sugar, Lord Sugar, who said that he parks his wealth in real estate or something? I'm sure it was him. But when you read biographies, as I do, like yourself, Bebe, I find that it does seem to play a big role. And I'm a huge fan of Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and throughout that book, all he talked about was real estate, and that's what he did. And it was all about generating enough passive income to cover your expenses, so that then you're what's called financially free. So then you can float about and do whatever you want to do, but you've got enough coming in without you having to show up for those hours to go and live the life that you want to live. So, so reading it in books, observing it for myself, that's why I went down that route myself.
Alex? Sandra?
Yes. Sorry, what was the question again? I was about
So what role does property play in building wealth, since you're all into property?
Well, as Lisa said, Bebe knows, you've put us together and we've done some property deals and continue to do more. But a major role, I mean, I hardly think of anyone who's who's really wealthy hasn't got property, again, for the main reason, passive income. Everyone needs a place to live in, everyone needs a home. People are born every day, people grow up and leave home and need their own homes. So if you're serious about creating wealth, definitely property really does play a major part. And Bebe would obviously expand on that. And, a lot of people get put off because they think, oh, I haven't got enough money, I haven't got 100,000 or 200,000 or 300,000. And you don't need that. You can actually get started in much smaller. But I always say to people, definitely it plays a major role because it is passive income.
Okay. Now, one of the things, I'm going to come back to you in a minute, Bimba, but I think one of the things that Sandra said is so important. People get put off because they think they have to put down 300,000, 400,000, and they never know they're going to get that. But there are different ways of buying into property now that you don't need that amount of money. And even though people say, oh, but I'd only own 20% of it, and my response to that is I'd rather own 20% of something that's worth something than 100% of nothing. So, Bimba, very, very quickly, could you tell us a little bit about your investment club? What exactly does it do?
Oh, thank you. Talking about investment club. So yes, just like Sandra said, you really don't need to have bags and tons of money to get into property or to benefit from property. And that's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, thinking that they need to have so much money or it's just for the wealthy, it's just for a selected group. One thing I absolutely love about property, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discriminate color or it's just there, waiting for he or she that is ready to put their hands on it. That's the way I look at property, and it's so easy to get into, especially when we live in this side of the world that we live in. So the investment club is it's a club that we've been running for the last couple of years. We set up 2020, the COVID year, and the idea was just over the years I've seen and listened to a lot of people say, I want to get into property, but I don't have enough money. I want to get into property, but I don't have enough money. So I said, okay, that's fine. How much do you have? Oh, I've only got 5,000. I've only got 10,000. So I said, okay, how about we all bring in at £10,000, which is the entry fee. So everybody bring in £10,000. We put it all together in a big pot of money. So sometimes we try and visualize it. Your 10, my 10, his 10, her 10. And then before you know it, you've got 500,000. Before you know it, you've got, almost 1 million. We put it in the pot, and then now we have a big amount of money. We can then take that and go buy a property if we choose to. We can invest in an opportunity in the property space, and that's exactly what we do. So everybody puts in £10,000, or some people put in a bit more. We then have a bigger pot of money. We invest in properties, so we can buy a property in auction and sell it for a profit. We can buy a property and do up the work if we need to and sell it for a profit. We can actually fund somebody else's opportunity who perhaps cannot get it's a better interest rate, actually fund some developers investment or project, and we again get a bit of money, and then at the end of the year we then say, okay, how much have we made? I can guarantee you that whatever we've made as a group is definitely much more than what you would have individually made if you had invested that money, which probably you can't invest in property anyway because it's so little on its own, or if you had put it under your bed or left in your bank account, or you invested in stocks or shares. You know how that's gone crypto. That's not taking it. It's gotten a bit of a bashing in the last few months, but yeah. So whatever it is that you are able to invest in, chances are you would have gotten a better return as a member of the club. So, and that's literally what we do, and it's actually a 12-month rolling thing. So you're not even stuck in there for the rest of your life. You come in with your £10,000 for a year. We club the money together. We invest it. We do our profit share at the end of the year. And if you choose to take the £10,000 with your profit, that's amazing. If you choose to stay on, you just kind of do that and just put it back and roll it over into the next year. Now, the bigger vision of the investment club, which I'm even more excited about, is, and this is in the name, we've titled it Be Our Own Bank. So the vision is that we collectively will become our own banks. So the idea and the goal is that we'll be the first Black-owned bank in the UK, recognized Black-owned banks. So we're getting there, we're working our way up, but that's the goal. So when we become our own banks, the statistics that we're getting these days about Black businesses not able to survive, or Black businesses, closing up after a few years due to lack of funding, or people not even able to start their businesses for lack of funding, we're hoping to be able to be the solution to such issues. So overall, that's the overall vision. And the more people, the merrier, the better. The more people, the better. So yeah, I encourage you to join the investment club.
Okay. It doesn't get a bigger plug than that. So I love the vision. I love the be our own bank vision. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if there's anybody listening who can hasten that vision along, if you're in a position to join hands with Bimbola to hasten that vision into reality, please contact me or contact her directly and take her hand and get her to the promised land, because we're running out of time and we want to do that. We really want to do that. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Be our own bank. That's where we're going. Can I just go to the issue of faith? What role does faith play in your business, or does it play any part in your business or not? Sandra, you want to go with that?
It does play a part, because I can't really separate my faith from anything I do.
What is your faith?
A Christian faith, and
right.
I'd probably say 70% of my customers are not Christians, tend to be from a Muslim background, but how one carries oneself and how one conducts one's business is a reflection of who you are, and that's very much as part of my faith. So in terms of our integrity, in terms of our customer service, in terms of our attitude to our customers, and basically what we offer, always aiming for a spirit of excellence, and also just having that Christian generosity, where there are times we offer children reduced rates or free mock exams because we feel that they do have that need. So I can't really separate my faith from the business. It's all part and parcel of that. And we even pray for children when they've got exams. So yes, it is very much a part of the business.
Wow. Okay. Lisa, do you have any faith? All right, you need to unmute, Lisa. All right, while she's sorting that out, we'll go to Bimbola. We'll wait for Lisa to sort out. Bimbola, do you want to go?
Yes. So my faith, some of the Christian faith as well. And my faith is literally God is my biggest motivator. And what I mean by that is, I'm talking about investment here. How do I know where to invest in? I don't know the future. How do I know when the market's going to crash? I don't know the future. So I'm heavily reliant on the Holy Spirit and on God to tell me what to do, especially when I don't know what to do. So for me, it's a big part of it. And also because as a person of faith, or in my faith, one of my anchor scripture, he has given me the power to create wealth. So in terms of how do I create wealth, how do I, what do I need to do? Where do I need to invest? It's very much something that I'm reliant on God to do. And then, of course, the values as well that kind of underpins my business: integrity, honoring people, responsibility, generosity, similar to what Sandra just mentioned. Those are my value system that is underpinned in my faith as well. Leaving something to the next generation. I'm a big believer as well. And that's one of the things that I push a lot when I talk about properties, to leave some sort of wealth, leave clues, leave stuff for the next generation, because God is a God of generations. He's always talking about the fourth and the fifth and to the 10th generation. And what is the best way to leave wealth to your generation? Is property. If you leave a bundle of cash, it can easily get spent. If you leave property, hopefully with the right education and the right with the right structure, you could literally have that going on to the next and the next and the next generation. So my faith is very, very important to what I do, and I actually honestly enjoy talking about. I see strategies in the Bible. I literally see property strategies in the Bible. It's amazing. It's amazing how the Bible is so relevant, even in my space. So yeah, absolutely. And God created the whole earth. God is the biggest property mogul out there. So yeah.
God, we're gonna write a book like that. God is a property mogul.
When it comes to working together in terms of collaboration, and this is something that I also like to talk about in our community, God is the number one collaborator. God created the entire world. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. God could have done that all by himself. There's so much power in coming and working with people. It's so powerful, and if God can showcase that from Genesis, we have no excuse.
Yeah. Yes. Lisa, are you of any faith? Right, we seem to be having problems with Lisa.
Right,
okay.
Yeah, so I find that for me it's more visualization and belief, which is related to faith. And yes, I do think that people come into your life at the right time. They say when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And I do think you have to walk by faith, not by sight. And I just believe in visualizing, and it will all work out in the end. So faith, yes. I don't know if that's a Christian doctrine as such, but I think there's the saying, if you believe it, it will be yours. So I've always had faith.
Yeah. I think even the whole concept of visualization. I mean, sometimes as Christians we tend to bypass these things because they sound new age-ish. But even visualization, I've seen a prime example of visualization in the Bible when God said to Moses, said to Abraham, not Moses, go stand outside. After he and Lot had split up, go stand outside and see and count the stars. That's a visualization exercise. That's it right there. Go count the stars. The number of stars that you see, that's how many your descendants will be. That is a visualization exercise. So yeah, sometimes these things are not necessarily new age, but I think they're very, very important. It's important that it's interesting and nice to see that these things are undergirding the way we are doing business. I believe, and you don't have to agree with this, but I believe that God is raising up a new type of entrepreneur. Dr. Emmanuel refers to them as a new breed without greed entrepreneur. He's raising those kind of people up that, the Holy Spirit has done the work in them. They're not looking for just to buy a bigger house or a bigger car or to ride around town, design, but there's more depth. There's a greater understanding of their role as wealth creators, as just being a conduit for God to touch the world through their business. And he does that through all the things that you've been speaking about. The fact that you have good business ethics, integrity, good people skills, you're honorable, things like that. And I think these things are so important because a lack of them, not just in the Christian field, but as a people, the lack of these things has held us back. It has held us back. So I'm so pleased to hear that, from you today, that these things are beginning to become very relevant, but also being worked out on a day-to-day basis in our business. I think it's really, really important. Okay, so just before I go on, if Archie would kindly put up the flyer for the School of Money on the screen, that would be good. Can we see that? School of Money, yep. Okay, just wanted to talk a little bit about this. The School of Money is coming up this Saturday on the 18th of March, and it's at the Intercontinental Hotel at the O2 in Greenwich. It's free, so it doesn't get any better than that. You can't get any better than free. So no excuses, ladies and gentlemen. I'd love for you to come along. An opportunity for you to increase your financial literacy. Listen, making money is a game. And if you are trying to make money and you don't understand how money works, you are playing a game that you don't understand the rules. So the chances of you winning are next to nothing. So come along and be educated. Not only educated, the caliber of the people that you will have in the room. There is something about being in the room that makes all the difference. You can get your education through a webinar or seminar, but it's not the same dynamics as actually being in the room. You just never know that person who is the next key to unlock the next door for you to walk through may be there. So come along, meet the kind of people that you need to, like-minded people who are going in the same direction that you are going as an entrepreneur. Come along and get that. Make some contacts, make some connections. Let's keep going. let's keep growing as a community. Dr. Olumide will be there. As I said, he's amazing. For those of you who listened to him last week, he's just full of wisdom as to how you can make money. So let's come along to that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about family. Let's talk a little bit about family, because you ladies are all, high flying and everything like that. I don't know where you are in your family situations with your spouses and all that, but let's talk a little bit about family. Now, Mary Kay used to say that she had a mantra: God first, then family, then business. That was how she saw it. And I think I subscribe to that. God first, then family, then business. How do you balance family and your business? Because let's be honest, business does take a lot of time. So how do you balance family? How do you decide, well, actually, I'm not going to go to this business meeting, or I'm not going to do this business deal? Because how do you prioritize? Sandra, do you want to go first? No, actually, let's go with Bimbala, because she's got 4 kids. So let's go with Bimbala.
I was gonna say, oh my God. So the honest answer to that question is, I don't even know if I'm balancing it. I have 4 young children, oldest being 12 and the youngest 4. And
I'm busy, as you can see.
Yeah. I'm very busy, so no, I'm not balancing it, if I'm being honest. My kids would definitely say I'm not, because I'm constantly on the phone. But what I do tell them is this. I said, first of all, mommy's job is right here on this phone. Most of my clients will be on the phone. So I said, when the phone rings, I have to pick it up, because there are certain privileges that you're enjoying as my child that only money is going to maintain and keep them.
That's a good one, actually.
Privately educated is a lot of money for 4 children. So I say to them, do you want to go to the state school, or do you want to stay in your current school? Mommy needs to work. So of course the trade-off is being able to afford to go on holiday. So during the holidays, we would go away. We would have time together, we would enjoy if they wanted, so we try to balance it by, spending time. And then, I also do this where I do date night with my children. So one day will be one person, another day will be another person. So we do those kind of treats for them. So they know that, okay, mommy still has time, but you also need to understand that mommy is working and mommy needs to work. So that's the balancing that I do. The balancing is telling them, and then I've had times where my daughter would say to me that, oh, mommy, you're always on the phone, I can't even talk to you. Of course, when she says that, I drop everything and just give her the time in that moment. Maybe the next time I'll be back to my old ways.
I think the truth is, just like you've said, I think the truth is that getting that balance right is difficult, and very few of us get the right balance. Something has to give. No matter what, something has to give. But one of the things that I try to do is something that, for those of you who know her, Priscilla Scherer, she said something recently, and I subscribe to that. She said, somebody asked her, how do you decide, she's a speaker, and they asked her, how do you decide which speaking engagements to take and which ones to turn down, particularly in relation to your family? And she said, well, the first thing I do is I analyze whose voice is most important here. So, for instance, if she has a speaking engagement and she can think that actually, if Sandra goes along, she can deliver this just as well as I would do it, then she would ask Sandra to go along. But if she has to weigh that against maybe her son is playing basketball, playing football, because I think all her boys play football. Supposing one of her sons is playing a football match, she knows that only her voice standing in the crowd shouting her son's name is going to work for her son. She can't delegate that to Sandra. It has to be her voice that her son hears. So for her, it's a no-brainer. In that situation, she's going to have to turn down the speaking engagement and go and watch her son play ball. And I thought that was really good. That really, really helped. Because like you said, sometimes you just can't get the right balance. I remember my kids always say, because my husband works quite late, I remember when they were younger, I think now they're older, they understand a bit more, but I remember when they were younger, they used to say, why is Daddy always in the office? Why is he always in the office? And you can see that, it affected them. What we decided to do in the end was have them go into the office sometimes and just hang out with him, just so that they're in the same room with him. Yeah. So that, because sometimes kids take it personally. So just for them to see that he's working, it's not like he's messing around and he doesn't want to be at home with you. And then he gets to, just interact with them a little bit. It might just be they're playing a game, he walks over to them and plays with them for a few minutes and then goes back and that kind of thing. But we found that helped because, to be honest, sometimes it's difficult to find the balance. All right, we're just about to round this up. Real quick. Lisa, what role has failure played in your business?
Oh, you win some, you lose some. It's like that post-mortem thing on the Apprentice. When the task doesn't quite go to plan, you've got to look at where it went wrong and just try not to fall down the pit hole again. So I find that you've just got to learn from whatever it was, and you can't take it to heart, and you can't stop yourself from carrying on or trying again. And sometimes I know that's easier said than done, but you just have to just learn from it, I would say.
Okay, so failure, ladies and gentlemen, failures can propel you or paralyze you. The choice is yours as to which one you let happen. Let's round this up. Lisa, where can they find you? Bugles, where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can, my website is, I've got several, but it's lisanewton.co.uk, and you can probably find me on a beach somewhere drinking rum and put my feet up.
See how the other half live? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're talking about. This is how it's supposed to be. Oh my God, Sandra, where can we find you? Mock Test Masters, where we find you?
I'd love to come and join you, Lisa. So.
We got to make it happen, Lisa.
All right. Well, you can find me on mocktestmasters.com or 11 Plus News, Instagram handle 11 Plus News, or mocktestmasters.com. Thank you.
Okay, and Bimbola?
You can find me on Instagram, Bimbola Osaigi. That's Bimbola Osaigi on Instagram.
Okay. And if you want to find me, I'm on bbclement.com, bbclement.com. I'm available for speaking opportunities. You can get my book there. You can get all my merchandise there. Go have a visit. Just walk around the shop and see what you'd like to buy. Ladies, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for joining us and all the information that you've given us and sharing your story. It's wonderful to hear. So glad you're doing well. Keep going. Look behind, see who you can bring along so that we can have more of you on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me once again. I'll be here again next week with another set of women, another set of successful women. It's not just the three of them, there are other successful women. And we'll be here again next week to serve you as best we can. Have a great week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see you on Saturday at the School of Money.